I'm Rachel Milburn, the Network Youth Church Leader for the Eden area, and I would like to thank you all for all the positive comments and all of the views when I made banana cake last week and talked about friends. I had no idea when I did it that so many people would enjoy it, and it inspired some people to get in touch and make suggestions of other things that they wanted me to cook. So first on the list was Mihaela, this is your fault Mihaela, who suggested I make a Swiss roll. Now I've never made a Swiss roll before, but perfectly honest, it's not something that I would choose to eat, choose to buy. It's full of sugar, it's rolled in jam and then more sugar, so being diabetic means I can't eat it anyhow, but I'm going to have a go, okay? Now I mentioned to my mum which recipe to use, and she was like, oh, they use the one in the B-roll book, which is, I love my B-roll book, it's ancient, it's dropped to bits, but it does have a very basic Swiss roll recipe in it. Now if you want to make this at home and have a bash, all you're going to need is 2 eggs, 3 ounces of sugar and 3 ounces of self-raising flour, okay? So that's your basic sponge mix, and then what you do is you mix all that together, whack it in your tray, chuck it in the oven for like 7 minutes, and then while you're doing that, you get a piece of grease-proof paper, you cover it in sugar, and then when your cake's done, you tip it out onto the sugar and roll it up, apparently. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not sure this is going to work at all, and in fact I've kind of told myself already that I'm going to fail. Now the banana cake last week is pretty foolproof. You just chuck it all in and it always just comes out the same. You can't really go wrong, and you can actually vary the recipe quite a bit depending on, you know, how many bananas you've got and how much flour you put in and all of that. All kind of comes out the same, taste banana-y, and it's good. But this has got to be right, because it says in the book, if you cook it too long, it's going to be too dry and then you can't roll it. I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to roll it anyhow. However, I'm not going to let it put me off, okay? So I thought, well, I'm doing my baking, I might talk about fear and the fear of failure, which is what I have, okay? So let's get our bowl. I'm going to crack into it 2 eggs, freshly laid by my hens. There's a bit of shell gone in already. Yeah, 2 eggs in there. And then 3 ounces of sugar, which is 75 grams. For those of you who don't work in ounces, 75 grams of sugar. And 75 grams of self-raising flour. Which isn't very much. So it must be like an eggy looking thing. I don't know, there's a bit too much gone in there. I think you probably have to have it precise. I'm not usually precise, but I've got a funny feeling that if this is anything other than perfect, it's not going to come out. So I'm going to be stuck to tin. So I'm just going to pause you a minute while I mix it up, and then I'll be back. Right, I'm back. So I've whisked it up. I'm absolutely not convinced at all. It doesn't look like there's enough there to fill a Swiss roll tin, but anyway, we shall see. Looks more like Yorkshire pudding mix, but anyway, it'll be fine. So Swiss roll tin with some grease proofing. Basically you just chuck it in. I assume it'll have to go in thin because there's hardly any. There's no butter in it. It's just like eggs. I don't know about this at all. I'm not convinced. Doesn't look like there's enough even to fill the tray. But we're having a go because Mihaela wants a Swiss roll. So Mihaela's having a Swiss roll, and I might drop it off on your doorstep, Mihaela, and you can eat it and tell me what it's like. Try and get it all out every last little bit. So now it's got to go in the oven. See, look how much there is. I haven't put my oven on. Preheat your oven. Sorry, preheat the oven. I guess it has to be thin, but this looks too thin to me. I should have had a practice run, but then where would be the fun in that, eh? I think there's something about, you know, us human nature that we like to see people fail sometimes. It's quite funny. It's not always funny for the person doing it, but I don't take myself too seriously, as you all know. And I'm always game to have a go at most things. But fear, it can hold you back. It can be a really negative thing. And when I'm working with young people, often, you know, they've got some mad crush on some girl or some boy or whatever. And they're just like debilitated by fear about asking them out. And I'm like, what have you got to lose? They might feel the same way. On other things like they won't take part in a game maybe if they think they can't win. Now I used to be like that. I used to just hate it when we used to play cards when I was little, and this game called the Black Queen. And what used to happen was it would all set off well, and then people would start to say, ooh, who's got it, who's got it? And I used to get really anxious about having it. Same with donkey. I hate having donkey. Anyway, as I get older, don't take myself too seriously now. Still not keen on cards, but hey ho. Right, so I've got it in there. It's like paper thin. I'm going to put it in the oven for 7 minutes. And while it's in the oven, what you've got to do, I've already done this because I've read the recipe, get yourself another bit of grease proof like that and cover it in sugar so that when it comes out, when it's still hot, you've got to quickly whip it out of the tray and put it upside down on the sugar, right? How hard can it be? What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, I'll put it in the oven, and also you've got to warm some jam up. So if you've got some strawberry jam, stick it in the microwave for a minute or two and warm it up. Don't know why, no idea, just says use warm strawberry jam. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'll see you in 7 minutes. Right, my time's up. I'm going to get it out. Oh, it looks a bit bubbly. Looks like that. Anyway, it says, what did it say? Lift it straight out and turn it over onto a tin. Oh, flipping it onto a tray. Right. Ow. Lift my tin off. And then it says peel off the paper and trim off your edges. It looks absolutely awful. And then rub it with your warm jam. Well, at least the paper's coming off. Right, can you see? It's come off, alright. I've warmed it up once, but I don't know it's hot. So then you rub it with your jam. Put plenty on. I haven't made my own jam. I haven't got time for such things. In an ideal world, I'd make my own. But actually, I don't think we even went strawberry picking this year because the COVID business. Every time it was foul weather, wasn't it, in July? Anyway, this is alright. Just Aldi jam. Put plenty on, like that. And then it says trim off your edges. So, sharp knife, trim off the edges. And then you just roll it up, apparently. It just sounds easy, but I am not convinced one way or the other. However, like I said, I would try, and try I will. So you're supposed to, I think, use the paper, it says. What does it say? It says, working from the narrow end, make the first roll with the fingers and then continue drawing the paper away from you over the sponge. Where it just doesn't bend. Oh jeez. Oh, too much jam. Oh dear goodness. Right, can you see? Rolled it. And then it says, leave to cool, resting on the seam and dredge with caster sugar. Oh, my jam's all come out. Right, there's plenty of sugar left. Cover it in sugar and leave it to rest. So there we have it. One Swiss roll. Hang on, I'll put it on a plate and then you can decide if you want to eat it or not. I'm no Mary Berry, I have to say. However, I don't think that's a bad attempt for a first attempt. Can you see? So it's sort of rolled up, but sort of not. I don't know. Anyway, probably tastes alright. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's my attempt at Swiss roll. Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from having a go in the first instance. It might be my new favourite thing, who knows? I don't know. But I hope you all have a great week and I'll see you again soon. Thanks.